Commander Hannah pressed her face against the cold metal of the observation window. The asteroid field stretched endlessly before her ship, Dawn's Promise. Chunks of rock and ice drifted silently through the darkness of space. She had been mining these fields for 5 years, but today felt different. "Commander, we have something strange on sensors," called Communications Officer Park Jun-ho from his station. His young face looked confused as he stared at his screens. Hannah floated over to him in the zero gravity. "What is it? A signal?" "Very weak, coming from Sector 7. Jun-ho adjusted his headphones. "It sounds like a distress call, but the pattern is nothing like our ships use." Navigator Kim Sola looked up from her charts. "There shouldn't be any vessels in that area." "We checked the shipping lanes 3 times. Hannah felt her heart beat faster. In all her years mining the belt, they had never found anything more exciting than rare metals. "Show me." The main screen flickered to life. Through the darkness, a shape appeared between 2 large asteroids. It was definitely a ship, but unlike anything Hannah had ever seen. The hull was smooth and curved like an egg, with strange patterns carved into its surface. No lights blinked on its hull. "How long has it been drifting?" Hannah asked. Engineer Choi Minho ran quick calculations on his computer. "Based on its position and the asteroid movement, I would guess months, maybe longer." The ship looked ancient. Its surface was covered in small impact marks from space debris. Whatever technology kept it together was clearly failing. Commander Jun-ho said quietly, "The signal is getting weaker." Hannah made her decision quickly. "Change course. We're going to investigate." Her crew exchanged worried glances. "Mining regulations were clear about unknown vessels. They were supposed to report findings to Earth Command and wait for instructions. But Earth was 6 months away by radio signal. Whatever was on that ship might not survive that long." The Dawn's Promise moved slowly toward the mysterious vessel. As they got closer, more details became visible. The ship was huge, maybe twice the size of their mining vessel. Strange symbols covered its hull. Some sections looked damaged, with holes that had been sealed with what appeared to be organic material. "Life support is detecting atmosphere inside," reported Medical Officer Dr. Han Nari. "But it's not oxygen-nitrogen like ours." "Any life signs?" Hannah asked. Dr. Naris' instruments beeped softly. "Yes, 5, maybe 6 signatures. Very weak." Hannah's hands trembled slightly. First contact with alien life was supposed to happen with huge government ships and teams of scientists, not with a small mining crew in the middle of nowhere. Commander Minho said carefully, "Maybe we should just send a message to Earth Command and let whoever is in there die while we wait for permission." Hannah shook her head. "Bring us alongside. We're going aboard." The docking was difficult. The alien ship's hull was smooth, with no obvious docking ports. Minho had to use their emergency magnetic clamps to attach to the hull. Then he began cutting through the outer wall with laser torches. "Atmosphere is stable inside," Dr. Nari reported as they prepared to enter. "Strange mix of gases, but our suits should handle it." Hannah led the boarding party through the hole they had cut. Inside, the ship was dark and warm. The walls seemed to pulse slightly, as if they were alive. Strange blue lights ran along the ceiling in patterns that hurt to look at directly. They followed the life signs, deeper into the ship. The corridors were tall and narrow, clearly built for beings different from humans. Everything felt organic, as if the ship had been grown rather than built. Finally, they reached what appeared to be the main living area. In the center of the room, 5 creatures lay on beds that looked like giant flower petals. They were tall and thin, with pale blue skin that seemed to glow softly in the dim light. Their faces were narrow, with large, dark eyes that watched the humans carefully. One of them, older than the others, raised a thin hand. From a device around its neck came sounds that gradually formed into words. "Help, ... please." We are dying, Doctor. Nari immediately began scanning them with her medical equipment. Their life signs are critical. Whatever atmosphere they breathe, they're not getting enough of it. The elderly alien continued speaking through its translator. We are Cathara, our home, gone. We search for place to rest. How long have you been traveling? Hannah asked gently. Many years. Our ship fails. We are the last. Hannah looked at her crew. They all understood the situation. These beings were refugees, survivors of something terrible. Their ship was dying, and soon they would die with it. Commander Minho whispered, Earth regulations say we can't bring unknown aliens aboard our ship. Hannah looked at the 5 dying creatures. Their large eyes held no threat, only hope and exhaustion. They had been wandering space alone, searching for help, for years. She made her choice. Get them aboard the Dawn's Promise. Set up the cargo bay with life support systems that match their atmosphere. She looked at each of her crew members. We're taking them home. The rescue took 3 hours. By the time they had the Cathara safely aboard their ship, the alien vessel had lost all power. It drifted away into the darkness, empty and silent, as they began their journey back to Earth. Hannah wondered what she had started. The Dawn's Promise approached Earth orbit after 8 months of travel. Commander Lee Hannah stood in the cargo bay, watching the 5 Cathara through the clear barrier of their makeshift habitat. They had grown stronger during the journey, their pale blue skin now glowing with health. Nethys, their elder, had learned to speak basic Korean through their translation device. Earth Command is demanding immediate docking at Station Alpha, reported Park Junho from the bridge. They want the aliens transferred to military custody. Hannah sighed. She had sent detailed reports about the Cathara during their journey home, but Earth's response had been predictable. Fear first, questions later. Defense Minister Yoon Taik was waiting when they docked. His face was stern as he watched soldiers in protective suits surround the Cathara transport container. Commander Lee, you violated direct orders by bringing these creatures aboard your vessel. They were dying, sir, Hannah replied calmly. I made a humanitarian decision. Humanitarian? Minister Yoon snorted. These are aliens. We don't know their intentions. Dr. Han Nari stepped forward with her medical reports. Sir, I've monitored them for 8 months. They show no signs of aggression or disease. They're genuine refugees. The Cathara were taken to a secure facility in Seoul, behind thick walls and armed guards. Nethys cooperated peacefully, his large dark eyes showing sadness rather than anger at their treatment. News of the aliens' arrival spread quickly, despite government attempts at secrecy. Within days, crowds gathered outside the facility. Some carried signs demanding the aliens be sent away. Others held banners welcoming Earth's first alien visitors. Dr. Kim Ji-won, a social worker who specialized in refugee assistance, watched the protests from her office window. She had worked with human refugees from war zones for 15 years. The fear and anger in the crowds looked familiar to her. They're just afraid, she told her assistant, Lee Mina. People always fear what they don't understand. Inside the facility, xenobiologist Dr. Han Nari worked closely with the Cathara. Nethys proved to be remarkably intelligent and patient. Through their improved translation systems, he began sharing the story of his people. Our world was called Desis, Nethys explained, during one of their sessions. It was green and beautiful, with great cities that grew from living trees. We were peaceful, focused on art and science. What happened to it? Dr. Nari asked gently. Nethys's skin dimmed. The devourers came. They consume everything, planets, stars, life itself. We tried to fight, but they were too strong. Only a few ships escaped. How many of your people are left? We do not know. Our ships scattered across the galaxy. Some may still wander the void, searching for home. Dr. Nari was moved by the story, but when she shared it with the government officials, they remained suspicious. "How do we know this isn't an invasion tactic?" demanded General Park Hyun-woo during a security briefing. "Send scouts first, refugees second, army third." Public opinion remained divided. Television debates raged every night. Some experts argued that the aliens might carry diseases or have hidden technology that could threaten Earth. Others pointed out that any species capable of space travel could have attacked Earth directly if they wanted to. The breakthrough came when social worker Kim Ji-won was finally allowed to visit the facility. She sat across from Nethys in a simple white room with only a translator device between them. "Why Earth?" she asked. "You must have passed many worlds during your travels." Nethys was quiet for a long moment. "We have sensors that detect not just life, but kindness. Your species shows care for others, even for creatures different from yourselves. We have seen your rescue ships, your hospitals, your efforts to help those in need." Ji-won felt her heart tighten. "But many humans are afraid of you." "Fear is natural," Nethys replied. "We were afraid too when we first saw your ship. But fear can become understanding if given time." That conversation changed everything for Ji-won. She began organizing what she called the Open Hearts movement. Volunteers from around the world joined her effort to educate people about the Cathara. Meanwhile, the aliens offered something unexpected. Nethys asked to address the United Nations directly. Standing before the assembled delegates, his tall, thin form seemed fragile but dignified. "We do not ask for charity," he said through the translator. "We offer trade. Our people have knowledge of bioenergy cultivation that could help heal your damaged environments. We understand void navigation that could take your ships to distant stars safely." He paused, looking around the great hall. "We ask only for a small place to live quietly, to rebuild our culture alongside yours. We have wandered the stars for 300 years. We are tired. We wish only to rest." The vote was close. 57 nations voted to allow the Cathara to establish a small settlement. 43 voted against. The deciding factor came from an unexpected source, Commander Hannah herself, who testified about the 8 months she had spent observing the aliens. "They helped repair our engines when they broke down," she told the assembly. "They shared their food when our supplies ran low. They cried when we showed them pictures of Earth's oceans because they reminded them of their lost home." She looked directly at the delegates. "If we turn away beings who seek only peace and shelter, what does that say about who we are?" 3 weeks later, the Cathara boarded a transport to their new home in the mountains of Canada. The settlement in the Canadian mountains looked peaceful from the air. Small dome-shaped buildings dotted the valley floor, designed to match the Cathara's needs for warm, humid air. Pine trees surrounded the community, and a clear stream ran through the center. But settlement coordinator Lim Hosiok knew the peace was fragile. He walked through the main street, watching human volunteers work alongside the 5 Cathara refugees. 6 months had passed since they arrived, and problems were growing daily. "The children are getting sicker," reported Dr. Park Sumi, the settlement's medical officer. She looked exhausted as she met Hosiok at the medical center. 3 more Cathara seedlings developed breathing problems yesterday. Through the clear walls of the medical wing, Hosiok could see the young Cathara lying on specialized beds. They looked like smaller versions of the adults, but their blue skin was pale and their breathing was labored. The sight made his chest tight with worry. "What's causing it?" he asked. "Earth's atmosphere has trace elements their lungs can't process properly," Dr. Park explained. "We've adjusted their living spaces, but when they go outside to help with construction, they're exposed to too much." Nethys appeared beside them, moving silently as the Cathara always did. His translator device hummed softly as he spoke. "Our young ones are dying. Perhaps we should not have come here." "Don't say that," Hosiok replied firmly. We'll find a solution. But the medical problems were only part of their troubles. In the nearby town of Clearwater, human residents were becoming increasingly upset about their alien neighbors. Mayor Song Kung-ho called Hosiok almost daily with complaints. My people are scared, he said during their morning phone call. These aliens make decisions as a group, all touching each other's hands. It's unnatural. The cultural differences were harder to solve than anyone had expected. The Cathara made every decision through what they called communion, a process where they linked hands and somehow shared thoughts. Humans found this disturbing and strange. Worse, the Cathara couldn't understand why humans argued so much among themselves. They watched in confusion as human volunteers debated loudly about everything from construction materials to meal schedules. Your species fights over small things, young Cathara Vethys told Dr. Park during one of her medical visits. Do you not trust each other? Meanwhile, in major cities around the world, a new organization was growing. They called themselves Pure Earth. And their leader was a former military officer named Kang Do-yan. Do-yan had fought in 3 wars and lost many friends to enemy attacks. To him, the Cathara represented a new kind of threat, one that humans were foolishly welcoming into their homes. They say they come in peace, he told crowds at rallies in Seoul and Tokyo. But that's what invaders always say first. We're giving them our technology, our land, our trust. What happens when more of their ships arrive? His followers wore white armbands with Earth's symbol on them. They distributed pamphlets warning about alien diseases and hidden alien weapons. The movement grew quickly, especially among people who had lost jobs or homes in recent economic troubles. Back at the settlement, Hosiok tried to keep everyone focused on positive progress. The Cathara had shared their bioenergy knowledge, helping human scientists develop better solar panels. Their understanding of plant growth had improved crop yields in test fields. But the good news was overshadowed when Pure Earth protesters arrived at the settlement's gates. Go home, aliens, they shouted, carrying signs with cruel messages. Earth for humans only. The Cathara watched from inside their domed buildings, their large eyes filled with sadness. They had seen this kind of hatred before, on other worlds, during their long journey through space. Perhaps we should leave, Nephis told Hosiok that evening. We bring only trouble to your people. You bring knowledge and friendship, Hosiok replied. Don't let a few angry people drive you away. But the situation grew worse when Pure Earth discovered the location of a joint research station in British Columbia. Human and Cathara scientists were working together there, studying alien bio-technology. On a cold October morning, 3 Pure Earth members planted a bomb outside the research building. The explosion killed 5 people, 2 human scientists, named Oh Mingi and Bae Sun-ho, along with 2 young Cathara researchers, and 1 human security guard. News of the attack spread around the world within hours. The images were horrible. The destroyed building, the bodies covered in white sheets, the crying families of the victims dotted the settlement. The surviving Cathara went into what they called deep mourning. They stopped eating, stopped working, and spent their time touching hands in their communion circles. Their skin became very pale, and they barely spoke even through their translators. They're losing hope, Dr. Park told Hosiok privately. Without hope, Cathara can actually die from sadness alone. Public opinion shifted quickly after the bombing. Many people who had been unsure about the aliens now spoke out against Pure Earth's violence, but the damage was done. The Cathara refugees looked broken, and more human volunteers were asking to leave the settlement. Hosiok stood on the settlement's observation deck, looking out at the mountains. Snow was beginning to fall, and winter was coming. He wondered if the small community would survive until spring, or if Earth's first alien refugees would become another sad chapter in the planet's long history of failed hopes. Below him, he could see Nephis, sitting alone by the stream, his reflection wavering in the cold water. Graduate student, Imuna, stared at the microscope screen in disbelief. After 3 months of working at the settlement's research lab, she had made a discovery that could change everything. The cells on her screen showed something impossible. Human tissue that was healing faster than normal. "Dr. Park, you need to see this," she called to her supervisor. Dr. Park, Sumi hurried over, still wearing her medical coat from treating the sick, Cathara children. "What is it, Yuna?" "I've been studying tissue samples from the human volunteers who work closely with the Cathara. Look at this," Yuna pointed to the screen. "Their cellular repair rate is 3 times faster than normal humans." Dr. Park leaned closer. "That's impossible. Run the test again." "I've run it 12 times. It's consistent." Yuna's hands shook with excitement. "There's something else. Their radiation resistance is off the charts." For weeks, Yuna had been working alongside Vethys, a young Cathara scientist who had survived the bombing. Despite their different biology, they had developed a good partnership. Vethys would touch samples with his thin fingers, somehow sensing things that human instruments couldn't detect. "The life energy flows between species," Vethys had told her through his translator. "Your people and mine, we share more than you know." Now Yuna was beginning to understand what he meant. She ran more tests on volunteers who had spent months living and working with the Cathara. The results were amazing. Not only were they healthier, but their immune systems had become incredibly strong at the same time. Dr. Park was making her own discovery with the Cathara children. The young ones who had been dying were slowly getting better, but only when they spent time near human caretakers. "It's like our biology helps stabilize theirs," she explained to settlement coordinator Lim Hoseok, "and their presence makes our people stronger." The breakthrough came when Yuna and Vethys were working late one evening in the lab. As they examined samples together, Yuna accidentally cut her hand on a broken glass slide. Blood dripped onto the table. Vethys immediately placed his hand near the wound, not touching but hovering just above it. His skin began to glow softly with the same blue light that all Cathara produced. "What are you doing?" Yuna asked. "Helping," Vethys replied simply. To Yuna's amazement, her cut began healing immediately. Within minutes, only a thin white line remained where the deep gash had been. "How is that possible?" she whispered. "Our species ... They fit together, like 2 pieces of one puzzle." Vethys's translator struggled with the concept. "We make each other ... complete." Their research was interrupted by urgent news from Earth's deep space monitoring stations. Emergency broadcasts flooded every communication channel around the world. "Large objects detected approaching the outer solar system," announced the voice of Defense Coordinator Seo Kungmin from Geneva. "Multiple vessels, unknown origin, estimated arrival in 18 months. At the settlement, the Cathara went into immediate communion, all 5 adults linking hands in their central dome. Their conversation lasted for hours, with their skin flickering, different shades of blue as they shared memories and knowledge. When they finally separated, Nephis approached Hoseok with a grim expression. "They have found us," the elderly alien said through his translator. "The Devourers come to this system, the ones who destroyed your homeworld," Hoseok asked. "Yes, they follow the energy signatures of our ships across space. We have brought death to your world." The next few days were chaos. Earth's military forces went to maximum alert. Scientists around the world began studying the approaching ships with every telescope and sensor available. The objects were massive, each one larger than Earth's moon. They moved slowly but steadily toward the inner solar system, consuming asteroids and small moons as they traveled. Everything they touched simply disappeared, converted into energy to fuel their journey. "We have no weapons that can stop them," admitted General Park Hyun-woo during an emergency United Nations session. "Our most powerful missiles would be like throwing pebbles at a mountain." That's when Nephis made an unexpected offer. "My people developed defenses against the Devourers before our world fell. He told the assembled world leaders through a video link from the settlement. Void shields that can hide planets from their hunger. But the technology requires both Cathara bioenergy and human quantum mathematics to work. You're saying you can protect Earth? Asked President Martinez of the European Union. Not alone, but together with your people. Perhaps we can build what neither species could create separately. The world's attitude toward the Cathara changed overnight. Scientists and engineers from every nation flew to the Canadian settlement. The small mountain community became the center of humanity's last hope for survival. Yuna found herself working 18-hour days alongside Vethys and teams of the world's best minds. The void shield technology was incredibly complex, requiring perfect cooperation between human and Cathara scientists. The math is beautiful, she told her parents during a rare video call home to Seoul. It's like the universe designed our species to work together. As construction began on the massive shield generators that would protect Earth, something wonderful happened. The process of building the defenses was healing both the humans and Cathara who worked on the project. The joint effort was making both species stronger. Dr. Park watched human and alien children playing together in the settlement's expanded playground. The Cathara young were no longer dying, and the human children were growing up stronger and smarter than any previous generation. Maybe this was meant to happen, she said to Hoseok, as they observed the bustling activity around them. Maybe the Devourers aren't just destroyers. Maybe they're the force that brings different species together. 7 years had passed since the Devourer ships first appeared on Earth's sensors. Commander Lee Hanna stood on the observation deck of New Harmony, watching Earth grow smaller below them. The planet looked different now, brighter somehow, with new cities that glowed softly with bioenergy technology. Hard to believe it's been so long, said Dr. Yuna, joining her at the window. Yuna was no longer a graduate student, but the director of human Cathara relations, her hair now showing streaks of silver, despite her young age. Sometimes it feels like yesterday, Hannah replied. Other times it feels like a lifetime. The war against the Devourers had lasted 3 years. Earth's void shields, built through the combined knowledge of both species, had worked perfectly. The massive consuming ships had passed right through the solar system without detecting the hidden planets. Humanity and the Cathara had held their breath together as death sailed silently past their door. But the real victory had come after the war. The cooperation required to build the shields had changed both species forever. Human children who grew up near Cathara became stronger, smarter, and more resistant to disease. Cathara young raised alongside humans developed new abilities their ancestors never had. "Mommy, look," called a small voice from the play area. Hannah turned to see her daughter Minjung running toward them. The 6-year-old girl was glowing softly with the same blue light that Cathara produced. It was a new trait that appeared in human children born after the integration began. Behind Minjung ran her best friend, Kes, a young Cathara whose skin flickered between blue and the warm pink tones that had started appearing in the newer generation. These children could communicate without translators, understanding each other through touch and shared emotion. "We built a star bridge in the sandbox," Minjung announced proudly, holding up her sand-covered hands. "It reaches all the way to the New World," added Kes, his translator device barely needed anymore, as he spoke in clear Korean mixed with clicking sounds. Yuna knelt down to their level. "That's wonderful. Maybe someday you'll help build real star bridges." The children ran off to continue playing, their laughter mixing with that of dozens of other young ones aboard the colony ship. Half were human, half were Cathara, and all of them were something new, the first generation of a truly combined species. Settlement Coordinator Lim Hoseok, now bearing the title of Colonial Administrator, approached with a datapad in his hands. His hair had gone completely gray, but his eyes sparkled with excitement. "The advanced scouts have confirmed it," he announced. "Kepler 44-b has perfect atmospheric conditions for both our species. The Cathara bioshapers are already beginning to prepare landing zones. Through the ship's communication system, they could hear updates from other colony vessels. 12 ships in total were heading to different star systems, each carrying mixed populations of humans and Cathera. It was the largest peaceful exodus in human history. "Any word from the other fleets?" Hannah asked. "The Hope's Dawn reached Proxima Centauri last month," Hosiak replied. "They're reporting successful establishment of the first combined settlement, and the Unity's Light has found signs of other Cathara survivor groups in the Vega system." This was the most exciting news of all. For 3 centuries, the scattered Cathara refugees had wandered alone through space. Now, with human faster-than-light technology combined with Cathara navigation skills, they were finding each other again. In the ship's medical bay, Dr. Park Sumi worked alongside Vethys, who had become her research partner and close friend. They were monitoring the health of all passengers during the long journey to their new world. "The symbiosis is continuing to develop," Dr. Park reported to the ship's council. "Human passengers are showing increased lifespans and healing abilities. Cathera passengers have developed new problem-solving skills and emotional resilience. It's not just biology," added Vethys, his translation device now barely necessary as his Korean had become fluent. "We think together in ways neither species could alone." This was most visible in the ship's engineering sections, where human and Cathara technicians worked so closely together, they seemed to share the same mind. Problems that would have taken weeks to solve were resolved in hours through their combined intuition and logic. Nethus, now ancient but still healthy thanks to the human Cathara biological exchange, spent his time in the ship's memory center. He was recording the complete history of both species, their separate journeys through space, their meeting, and their transformation into something greater. "The young ones ask me about the old days," he told Hannah during one of their regular talks. "They cannot understand why humans and Cathara ever lived apart. To them, we have always been one people." As New Harmony approached its destination, the excitement was visible throughout the ship. Families gathered at viewing ports to catch their first glimpse of their new sun. The star was smaller than Sol but warmer, casting everything in a golden light that made both human and Cathara skin seem to glow. "Beginning final descent procedures," announced Captain Cho Jaein from the bridge. "All passengers prepare for atmospheric entry." Hannah held Minjung in her arms as they felt the ship shudder slightly during entry. Below them, a new world spread out, blue oceans, green continents, and white clouds swirling in unfamiliar patterns. "Is that our new home, Mommy?" Minjung asked. Hannah smiled, watching as other ships in their fleet began their own descents toward the planet's surface. In a few hours, the first combined human Cathara city would begin rising from the empty plains below. "Yes, sweetheart," she whispered. "That's our new home."